If this speech was anti-vax, I would be saying something along the lines of vaccines are very bad according to Facebook, but no, this isn't anti-vax. So I'm going to use a much more reliable source, the World Health Organization, to say that not only are they really good at what they do, but they're also safe for the average person. So, the speech will primarily discuss debunking various anti-vax myths that have arisen due to that movement, as well as a basic clarification as to how vaccines work, all provided by the World Health Organization and publichealth.org and cdc.gov to establish the fact that this information is sound. Hold on a second. Excuse me. But before I can really start to do that, though, I have to explain really how they work. According to the World Health Organization, as well as CDC.gov, vaccines essentially work as a study guide for your blood, for lack of a better analogy. They mimic, or are a weakened version of the virus they're trying to prevent, so when your immune system goes in to destroy them, they produce antibodies that destroy them, so that when the real thing shows up, those same antibodies can destroy the actual disease without causing any symptoms. Effectively giving you the disease without any symptoms, for all intents and purposes. This effectively shuts down the whole vaccines are a poison that gets rid of our God-given immune system point the anti-vaxxers like to bring up, because it doesn't do anything to your immune system. It gets destroyed, actually. And if you doubt their effectiveness, just look no further than the measles vaccine. As back before the vaccine was released, there were 4 million cases per year in the U.S., but by 2010, when pretty much everyone was getting vaccines, that number dropped to less than 100 per year, at least according to the World Health Organization and CDC.com. Although, by 2014, this number did rise up to 700 per year, likely due to the anti-vax movement beginning to flare up right around that time, so it's not just some media group that's not getting any steam. Well, with that out of the way, I can finally start to explain why it has nothing to do with all this mimetic stuff that's been spread by these people. The first one is the ever-so-memed vaccines cause autism point. Well, autism's a genetic disorder, not anything that can be caused by anything more than just your DNA, and vaccines don't change DNA at all, according to publichealth.org. So, no, vaccines do not cause autism. The myth arose due to a British surgeon who decided to post some of his work onto a really prestigious medical journal, but he later lost his license for fraud, so, yeah. But despite being lost for fraud, people still treat his work, at least anti-vaxxers, treat his work like it's something special, even though it was proven to be completely false and even fraudulent. Now, the reason why this myth continues to arise is because the average person gets their immunizations right around the same time that people start to develop the symptoms for autism, making it look like the vaccines caused it, when that is not the case due to the whole DNA affects autism and vaccines don't affect DNA, so that's that. So, most people wonder, why exactly would the government lie to us about all of this stuff simply for the sake of a vaccine? Well, a lot of people like to say that this big conspiracy called Big Pharma likes to lie about all this stuff so they can keep making money off of these vaccines. Well, no. I mean, they do make money off of it, but they make money off of pretty much everything, as one Facebook mom put it on a news article. She said that, quote, excuse me. Oh, your kid has asthma? Oh, you better pass on that Haler because, you guessed it, brought to you by Big P. So, yes, they make money off of everything, and they really don't have much of a reason to lie about all these vaccines. Other than, well, they don't. So, wait, why exactly is vaccinating your kid important if it's not going to affect anyone else? Well, it will affect other people. It'll affect pretty much everyone, because of a concept called herd immunity, in which people who are allergic to vaccines or are immunocompromised can't really take the vaccine, so they have to rely on other people being vaccinated in order to effectively be safe from these diseases. Well, people who are unvaccinated, it compromises this immunity and gets them to get diseases they cannot hope to survive on their own. Anti-vaxxers like to justify them not doing this despite all this points with a myth called vaccine shedding, in which people think that it spreads the diseases to others because of the vaccine or something. It doesn't have any real logic to it. It's a fairly blatant lie, if you ask me. Mostly because unvaccinated kids are the ones who spread diseases, not the people who have it destroyed in their immune system because of the vaccines. Effectively ensuring that point has absolutely no basis in science or fact. So, wait a second. Without big pharma or vaccines, how do anti-vaxxers say they're going to cure these diseases themselves? Well, they believe in something called essential oils. They believe that essential oils can cure it. And absolutely nothing proves that these things, which are basically lavender-scented oils and so on, can do anything more than smell good when it comes to curing these preventable diseases effectively. In fact, all alternative solutions tend to be fairly ineffective regarding this, except for one, vaccines themselves. So, exactly why anyone would choose essential oils is entirely beyond me. Now, the final thing that anti-vaxxers tend to do tends to come across as blatant fear-mongering to me, and that's not very nice to me. They like to recite the ingredient lists of vaccines in order to scare people into thinking they're really bad, but in truth, if you read the ingredient list of an apple as showcased here, it's just as bad. It sounds just as bad and is usually just as long, too. So, vaccines are completely harmless to the average person, at least. But the particular note is a certain thing called firmosol, which it contains a form of mercury that most anti-vaxxers like to scream is proof that everything they say is correct. But it's not real pure mercury. It's actually a sub-kind of mercury that doesn't actually harm people in the doses present in vaccines. But despite this, anti-vaxxers still like to scream about how firmosol is causing everything, even though, as a precaution, everyone stopped using firmosol in vaccines, even though it never hurt anyone to begin with. It was still removed as a precaution, but that's a fact most anti-vaxxers tend to ignore. Now, to conclude this, anti-vaxxers are completely safe, and they don't cause anything. They are extremely good at what they do, and with the added benefit of being better than any alternative solution. So why would you choose an essential oil or anything else over a vaccine? If you still have a reason to choose an oil over a vaccine, then please consult some of the sites in this bibliography in order to clarify any questions you might have.